Good morning, everyone. I'm sure everyone's seen the letter that our leader, Pierre Poilievre, sent to the Finance Minister with respect to the state of the auto industry in Canada on February the 9th. We've seen historic declines in auto manufacturing in Canada from somewhere near 2 million vehicles a year to 1.3 million vehicles a year. We've now seen the closure of facilities and thousands of jobs lost. So we want to talk about some solutions today that Conservatives have for the government with respect to the state of the auto industry in Canada. Number one, we've been consistent in this. They need to take the industrial carbon tax off in Canada. It costs the Canadian steel industry about $500 million a year, and we must be looking at similar numbers for Canadian auto manufacturing, which makes our cars more expensive and more difficult to export around the world. Number two, we have talked about taking the HST off of all Canadian-made vehicles. This in of itself would encourage Canadians to buy those vehicles. It would spur local production and have a great chance of bringing back some of the jobs that we've lost in Canada as a result of the tariffs that Donald Trump has put on our automobiles here in Canada. And talking about the tariffs that Donald Trump has put on our automotive manufacturing here in Canada, can someone please explain to me why, in the face of this trade war, this unjustified trade war that the Americans have put on our auto industry, that we would be giving Canadian tax dollars to subsidize electric vehicles made in the United States? This makes absolutely no sense. So we are calling on the government to not allow a single Canadian taxpayer dollar to subsidize or give a rebate for an electric vehicle that is manufactured in the United States. These are clear, sensible positions that will benefit Canadians and Canadian auto workers. I now want to turn it over to my colleague and friend Arpan Khanna from Oxford, where the Bright Drop factory closed.
Well, thank you, Kyle. Good morning, everyone. And we're joined by our great colleagues who also represent some strong areas for the auto sector. Ontario is home to one of the best auto workers in the world. You know, in Oxford County, we have the Toyota plant. And up until recently, we had our Cami GM plant. These are hardworking, tough, highly skilled workers who were the backbone of our community. And the sad news we heard last year with the plant closing has had a devastating effect in our communities. 1,200 workers were laid off. That's 1,200 families being affected. I often hear stories at the Cami plant of couples working together, multi-generations, working side by side on the assembly line. And there's the ripple effect of tens of thousands of spin-off jobs that are being impacted. So these jobs have a major impact in our community. But just last week, they received some more bad news. As the GM payouts started rolling out, the workers opened up their pay stub to notice that over 50% of their payouts were being withheld for taxes. Now you can imagine, in an affordability crisis like we're seeing today, what kind of impact that would have on their families. These workers have called me and told me that it feels like they're being kicked down while they've already been on the floor. They are now struggling to put food on their tables. They're struggling to pay mortgages, rent, and also plan for their kids' summer sports. So this has had a real impact on our community, and that anxiety is felt right across our region. And that is why our leader, Pierre Poilievre, and my colleague, Kyle Seeback, along with other colleagues, are calling on this government to take some action. Our workers need relief right now. They can't wait a year and a half to get some of the money back. They need some help right now. So we're calling on the Minister of Finance to pass some measures with a stroke of a pen, help those workers that need help so we could have affordability in the lives of these tremendous workers. We're happy to take any questions you might have.
My question is for any one of you. What has your leader, have your colleagues heard about Mr. Giovanni's trip to Washington?
Well, look, we are all, when we're elected to fight for our constituents and fight hard. That's what we're doing here right now. We're fighting for auto workers. And I have lots of auto workers in my riding that work at the Brampton facility, which has been closed. Mr. Giovanni was down in the United States fighting for his constituents because they have many that work at the Oshawa plant. And that's what we're here to do.
Can we therefore see more of you or your colleagues having meetings with officials in Washington?
We have colleagues going down in Washington all the time. When I had the trade portfolio, I was down in Washington meeting with officials. That's what we're here to do, especially in light of what's going on with the trade war with the United States.
For the withholding tax proposal, can you maybe walk us through why you're proposing it only for GM workers? It sounds like this is a tax that you're going to have to pay eventually, whether it's going to be withheld right now or on tax season. Is it because this belief that those auto workers might not be in a position to have another job, in the coming weeks or months?
Look, I think the Conservatives have always stood for the rights of workers to make sure that they're protected and they have the support they need to make sure they can live an affordable lifestyle. When I talk to the workers in my riding, I could tell you that they're struggling and they're nervous. So for us, we want to make sure that the support is there. They can't wait a year and a half for that money to come back. We all see the numbers with food inflation at record numbers, 6.2%, double that of the US. So to make life affordable for these workers and other workers, we're open to making sure that other workers enjoy the same benefits that these workers do in GM. It's important we take these steps, and we're willing to work with the government. The government often talks about collaboration. We are calling on the finance minister to work with us, sit down with us, and find those relief we could provide to the workers during these tough times.
You also talked in your letter about the lack of strategy from the federal government when it comes to autos. One thing we've heard from this government, though, is using our defensive investments as a way to leverage, bringing in different automakers, potentially from South Korea and Germany. What do you make of this effort from the government?
What we so often see from this government is vague MOUs that might lead to something someday. And that's great, but what we actually, the plan that we've proposed, what we've just said, are things that would actually increase domestic production right away, not wait for some promise with another country that may get an auto manufacturer to come to Canada someday that may produce some vehicles. We think the better path forward is what I laid out earlier.
It's not just auto workers who have been affected by the trade war. We're seeing a lot of forestry workers have lost their jobs as well. They've been laid off as well. Federal government has touted endlessly things like the job sharing arrangement that they believe will be able to prevent some of these layoffs. What is the disconnect here? Because it's clearly not working, because we're seeing workers get their layoff notices. What is the disconnect between government policy right now and what's happening?
The disconnect is the complete and utter failure of the government to get an agreement on any of the issues that we have with the United States. The softwood lumber dispute has been going on for somewhere close to 9 years now with absolutely no action. In fact, it gets worse every single time. The countervailing and anti-dumping duties go up, the job losses and the mill closures accelerate. Meanwhile, it's not even on the agenda. For our forestry workers, they must think this government has completely abandoned them. It's never even discussed by the Mark Carney government. And on the other tariffs on auto, again, we have to remember, Mark Carney promised to have a deal with the United States by, I think it was July 21st. We're now 8-10 months past that, and things are only getting worse. Which brings me back to the question. I want everyone to think about this. When they're tariffing our vehicles to the point where we're having 5,000 auto workers lose their job, 2 plants that now have laid off all their workers, they're going to give rebates to American-made EVs. It's a kick in the teeth to auto workers. I spent the weekend talking to them. So their strategy on every level is not working, and we can't fix that. Their incompetent strategy. What we can do is suggest ideas that will make a difference, and that's what my colleague and I are doing today.
Je me permettre en français, M. Paul-Hus. J'aimerais vous entendre d'une part sur les pertes d'emploi dans le secteur auto, mais d'abord, on lisait dans le Globe ce matin qu'il y aurait eu des conversations, entre autres avec Doug Ford, où on considérait une élection au printemps du côté du gouvernement. Est-ce que c'est sérieux selon vous?
Écoutez, je ne peux pas savoir si M. Carney pense vraiment à faire une élection ce printemps. Ce qu'on sait de notre côté, c'est qu'on met tout en place pour travailler de façon constructive avec le gouvernement libéral. Donc, on ne peut pas entendre des discours du côté libéral qui dit qu'on fait de l'obstruction, ce qui est totalement faux. Dans tous les comités, partout, on travaille, exemple, sur la mise en place, l'implantation du budget. Chaque comité fait son travail. On a des questions, on doit poser des questions. C'est au libéral à trouver les réponses, mais il reste que dans l'ensemble, on ne voit pas pourquoi M. Carney penserait à faire une élection alors qu'on est là pour collaborer, aider à l'avancement de l'économie canadienne.
Le secteur auto, vous avez dit que vous vouliez demander des actions au ministre des Finances. De quoi on parle?
Il y a des choses, il y a deux volets. Premièrement, le volet de l'industrie automobile. Il y a un impact direct des tarifs des Américains sur notre industrie. Il y a des pertes d'emplois. D'un côté, on peut demander d'arrêter la fameuse taxe industrielle sur le carbone, qui a un impact de 500 millions par année pour l'industrie automobile. Également, on demande d'enlever les taxes de vente sur les autos neuves, qui pourraient donner une chance aux citoyens qui veulent avoir une auto. Et de l'autre côté, on ne comprend pas pourquoi on subventionne l'achat d'auto fabriqués aux États-Unis. Ça, c'est une question qu'on a pour le gouvernement, qu'on n'a pas encore compris pourquoi qu'on donne une chance à l'industrie américaine, alors que chez nous, on a des pertes d'emplois sérieuses dans les circonscriptions de mes collègues en Ontario. De l'autre côté, les gens qui sont mis à pied actuellement reçoivent des primes de départ, et ces primes de départ-là sont imposées directement de 50 %. Donc, ce qu'on demande au ministre des Finances, ce que M. Poilievre a envoyé comme lettre, c'est de demander au gouvernement, c'est pas moyen d'enlever l'impôt direct de 50 % reporté dans le temps pour donner une chance aux citoyens de l'Ontario, aux travailleurs automobiles qui perdent leur emploi, d'avoir un peu d'argent pour continuer à vivre.
Comment c'est perçu dans votre caucus les démarches de M. Givani, justement, au sein de cette guerre tarifaire-là? Est-ce que c'est perçu de façon positive ou...
Oui, en premier lieu, M. Givani a une relation particulière, personnelle avec le vice-président américain. C'est des amis, des vrais amis de plus de 15 ans, sont en relation à chaque semaine. Ils ont même des paris sportifs ensemble qui se parlent. C'est des amis. Donc, est-ce que d'avoir une relation particulière avec le vice-président américain, de pouvoir adresser le problème de l'industrie automobile? Parce que M. Givani, dans son comté, il y a un impact direct des tarifs sur l'industrie automobile et il cherche des solutions. Donc, dans cet aspect-là, d'aller avoir l'opportunité d'avoir un contact comme ça, de pouvoir parler directement à l'administration américaine, on le voit de mon côté.
Vous arrivez, vos mesures, là, il y a des mesures qui vont... Bon, M. Paul-Hus, ils ont une petite dernière sur les mesures économiques annoncées, non? Bon, c'est bon.